This sweater my baby is wearing is our tutorial for today. It's an easy stitch and I'll be using this yarn. You also need your measuring tape and I'll be using 35 centimeters. I already took his measurements. Make sure to take yours. And shoulder to lower waist, I'll be using 35 as well. And I will be also using this 4.5mm hook. So let's dive in. So make a loop. Enter your hook into the loop and chain 60. My chain that equivalents to 35 centimeters is 60. But we are using different hooks, we're using different yarn weight, so you should make sure to consider your measurement. My chain is ready and I'm trying to make sure it equivalents 35 centimeters. You can always add like 1 or 2, 3 centimeters more. Just make sure your piece has room. And now chain 1, skip the first 2 loops into the third, wrap your yarn, 1, 2, go into the third loop and work a half double crochet. Wrap your yarn, go into the next loop and work a half double crochet. Work a half double crochet along the entire chain. I am getting towards the end of my chain. I have a few loops left. One more. And this is our first row. Our next row, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work, and then you're going to now start the real stitch. 1. If you can see, I'm using a dull color, so it's a little bit complicated. So you're going to skip the first loop into the next and work a half double crochet. Wrap your yarn, come back to the loop that you skipped, that loop that you skipped in between, and then go enter into that loop, excuse me, and then work a half double crochet. Wrap your yarn, skip one loop, go into the next. I'm working in the night, so you'll excuse me. Pull through with a half double crochet, wrap your yarn, go back into the loop that you skipped and pull through a half double crochet. Wrap your yarn, skip one loop into the next, pull through, wrap your yarn, go back into the back loop that you skipped and pull through. That's a cross stitch. So you're going to keep doing this along the entire row. I'll meet you towards the end. So this is how the stitch looks like. It's absolutely beautiful. Next, chain 3, wrap your yarn, skip the first 2 loops into the third and work a half double crochet. Wrap your yarn, go back into the last loop that you skipped with a double crochet. Skip one loop into the next with a half double crochet and work in the back loop with the same. So you're going to keep repeating the stitch all the way, because like I said, it's the only stitch we are going to be using. You skip one loop, you work a half double crochet into the next, then you go back in the loop that you skipped and work another half double crochet. then you skip one loop, you work a half double crochet, then go back into the loop that you skipped, work a half double crochet. That's a cross stitch, like X, you know, you're creating an X. So I am going to work off camera, but I'm going to try to show you as much as I can. This is how it looks like. I'm getting done with my 6 rows of a cross stitch with this color blue. I'm showing you because I'm going to be switching to beige, or you can use colors of your choice. It doesn't have to be this specific. So come into the last loop and put a half double crochet. So this is how it looks like. You can see it's a beautiful stitch. I love it. So cut off the yarn, and now we are going to be switching to this color. I think it's beige. I'm terrible with colors, but you can also keep up with the same color. You don't have to switch. But then I have like a few pieces of each yarn color, so it would be best for me to blend, so I have enough. So this is how I'm attaching the color without causing a lot of mess. And then like that, chain 1, 2, 3, turn your work and repeat the same thing. Skip that first 2 loops into the third, 1, 2 into the third, and work a half double crochet, wrap your yarn, go back in the loop that you skipped with a half double crochet, and repeat the same process. So I'm going to show you with this a bit more because the color is more brighter and visible, so you can really see what I am doing. So one of my front or back piece is finished, so I am going to divide the measurements of shoulder to shoulder to create a neck space. So I'm going to count 10 centimeters from each shoulder, this side 10 centimeters, and also 10 centimeters this side, and attach my stitch markers. I have attached the stitch markers, so I can continue my piece from wherever I feel like with the same stitch. So skip 1, 2 into the third with a half double crochet. I'm not changing the color because I want them to like match the blue and the other blue, front blue and the back blue, like that. But do your thing like you wish. So and last, put a half double crochet. You see, oh, it's so beautiful. Just to make sure, I am going to measure again to make sure I have the right measurement. So I'm going to just continue. You can watch carefully. I have put a half double crochet stitch. You're now going to make a chain to go to your other stitch marker. You're not turning your work, like don't turn your work. You're just going to make a chain that connects you from this row to the stitch marker. So I have done 10 centimeters, we had 35 centimeters, so that's, you have 25 centimeters left, and then the other side you also have 10 centimeters, so you have to chain, your chain has to be worth 15 centimeters at least, or you can put a bonus of like 2, centimeters or 1, like that. You also have an option to make the pieces separate and you join them, but my son hates it when the neck is too tight, so I try to give him as much space as possible, like that. So now I have reached my stitch marker, I have my neck space, so I am going to just continue my piece because I don't really want to stitch the piece together. So remove the stitch marker, enter your hook into the loop, pull through and work a half double crochet like that. And now skip 1, 2, going to make sure it aligns, so I only have to skip 1 loop here and then do the cross stitch and work the cross stitch all along, all the way to the end of the row. I'm at the end of the row and work in the very first loop a half double crochet. This is how it looks like. Like I said, if you want, you can work 2 pieces separately and then attach the pieces together, but I do not want to do a lot of stitching. I can't lie, it exhausts me. So turn your work and now work like you've been doing from the very start. Skip 2 loops, work a half double crochet and go in the loop you skipped with a half double crochet. I'm going to skip a bit so you can see how I do it on the chain, but it's just the same, counting loops, skipping a loop like that. Let me show you how to do it. So I have reached here. You're just going to continue, skip 1 loop into the next. Wait a minute, this one, make sure your loops are visible. Skip 1 into the next with a half double crochet and go back in the loop you skipped with a half double crochet. Skip 1 loop into the next. I have lost my eyesight, really, my vision is dying. Okay, so you have to keep doing this all the way through and then continue with the rest of the piece. Make sure you have equal measurements, keep checking your piece so that you work accordingly. I'm going to fasten my video too towards the end of the front piece. I am getting to the end of the front piece. Ignore my nails, I like to adventure, so you'll see cuticle, no cuticle, 1 cuticle, etc. So finish up here and this is how it looks like. This is the neck space. So you can see the color contrast or whatever, I'm not English, but yeah. So cut off the yarn and the main part of the piece is done, and now we are going to actually start on the arms. So look at the measurement for your arms. I'm going to take 25 centimeters. So now we are going to work all from the piece. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid a lot of stitching from this blue to that blue. So you are going to work using these 2 colors, or you can take the measurement, and like I said, the arm measurement is 25 centimeters. So I'm going to chain 40, My chain of 40 is ready, and now we are going to just work the same thing, work the stitch. So you're going to chain 1, 2, 3, wrap your yarn, skip the first 3 loops, wait, yeah, and then work into the 4th with a half double crochet, then go back into one of the 3rd stitches you skipped and work a half double crochet. So you've known, like, you have to keep working a cross stitch, so I'm not going to show you much to avoid the video being draggy, which already is. I'll try to fasten while you follow up what I'm doing. So you skip 1 loop into the next with a half double crochet and go back into the loop that you skipped with a half double crochet, and do the same along the entire row. So this part I have to show you because it's how you attach the piece to the main piece, or the arm part to the main piece. Forgive my English. So sorry about this. So you're going to skip this 1 loop. You're going to come to on top of the loop of that row of the blue stitch and pull through, so it's looking like it's attached together, as you can see. If you also want to make it easier, you can also just add the arms. I forgot all about that, I remembered after. So chain a slip stitch and go up to the loop of the 2nd row of the piece, turn your work like this, and repeat the stitch. You can see, skip that loop and that into the 3rd. If this is confusing, you can work it off, you can work the arm piece separately and just stitch it, slip stitch it to the main piece. I have attached both the arms. You can see how the piece looks like, and this is it. Like I said, it's easier, so you can always just complete, slip stitch this side and the other side, and ready for wear, or ready to wear. And now you're going to make a loop, and then we are going to now slip stitch our pieces. If you want, you can use a tapestry needle. I'm not showing much because I know I've showed you in several videos, but if you have any questions, you can comment about it and I'll get back to you. We are now going to work on the arm, chain 2 and work in each loop 2 double crochets. Sorry, I missed a video somewhere in between. but work around the wrist area double crochets. And remember, we are putting 1 double crochet in one row and then 2 double crochets in the next row to avoid it being too large. So it's 1 double crochet in one row of the cross stitch and then 2 double crochets in the next row of cross stitch. You can see clearly on what I'm doing. You can slow down the video or you can comment and I'll get back to you. So you're going to slip stitch like that. And now because it's wide, we have to reduce the arm size. So we are going to chain 2, then work through 2 double crochet, work a back post stitch, front post stitch, and then work a back post stitch in just one double crochet, and then a front post on 2 double crochets. I don't know if my English is right, but you can see I'm picking up 1 when I'm working a back post and picking up 2 double crochets when I'm working a front post, like that. And that row is done, slip stitch. And now that we've reduced the space, you can see we are now going to work a normal now front post and back post stitch. Chain 1, 2, and now work a front post on a front post, a back post on a back post. So this is it. I'm going to work one more row just to make sure, just to give it more beauty really. I'm done with the arms. I'm going to use the same ribbing for the lower end, this end, and then we'll have the neck left, and then also I have stitched this side with the slip stitch just like I did the arms. You can also do the same. I don't have to show everything, so I will show you a few things but while fastening my video. our sweater is ready. This is the inside, and you can actually do the same. It's a very easy stitch. You can do the same thing for an old person's sweater. There's no difference.